Hello, everybody. This is Andrew from LeagueSpot. We're here to talk about the May 25th release notes for our most recent release. I'm here joined with Brandon Barnett, Derek Watford. Brandon, want to give a quick intro?
Sure. Yeah. Brandon Barnett. I've been the CTO at LeagueSpot for about 4 years now. Helped build this platform from basically nothing and working every day to make it even better. And joining me on my team is Derek, who will introduce himself as well.
Hi, Derek Watford, Director of Product Design here at LeagueSpot, new to the team, making UX, UI enhancements as we go along.
That's awesome. So today we're here to talk about our most recent release. We've been doing this program to basically take the things that we've been building and talk about not just necessarily to the end user, but for the programs we've worked for. Why are they valuable for everybody? What are some of the reasons we're doing this? We want to highlight some of the philosophies we've been following as a product team, why some of this stuff is important. And yeah, we're going to get started immediately talking about one of the first big pushes that we did for this particular release. First, I think so. So we're going to talk about specifically what the feature is. Is in all of the competitive stages within LeagueSpot, users are now able to see all of the configurations of the different stages. So the settings related to them, things around some of the fun features that we've built, like whether or not auto reschedules are turned on, whether or not roster locks are turned on, some of the different scoring things that are associated with them. Um, and again, while that might seem a little bit like table stakes, there's a reason that we had not built that before in how we've sort of changed our philosophies since then. I'm going to kick it over to Derek, and Derek had joined, again, as everyone knows, right? You look back in the history of LeagueSpot, if you're a longtime LeagueSpot user, and LeagueSpot's highly, highly functional, but from a user experience perspective, that was just never a focus, and it is now. And so Derek was able to come in and sort of change the paradigm around the user experience and specifically how data is shown to users. Derek, why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
So the complaints we were getting about just from a stage or season setting standpoint is understanding what settings were applicable based on a certain season. And a lot of our TOs and league people were saying, hey, I know I set this a couple months ago, and now I want to know, hey, what did I even set this season up for? And so now we're able to show them that data on what settings are applicable, as well as allowing the users and players to also see so that they have information or informed about, okay, this is what I'm allowed to do, or this is the reason I'm not allowed to do this because these certain settings are locked or they don't apply for this match series, etc. And what we found is, or we're hoping to find, is that being able to see this data allows our TOs to be able to make changes or just stay informed on when they're analyzing or hosting an event.
Yeah, that actually brings up a really, really good point. Not only does this have something to do with the fact that people can now view all of the settings across these stages, it's actually allowing TOs to go and edit settings that they had already put in place for certain events. If for whatever reason they need to change the ability for different teams to be able to request reschedules, things like that, they are now able to do that. So I think broadly, some of the work you've done, and we saw this. For those of you who don't know, we shipped a feature a recent amount of time ago where people who weren't able to check into matches for any particular reason were actually given a readout of all of the issues that were preventing them from being able to access that. I think in general, what you're seeing across LeagueSpot is while this crazy machine is going on in the background, in like the role access and the protection of data and all these things, you're actually getting a lot of more ability to know what is happening behind the scenes and see that as a user, which I think is really, really nice.
And it's valuable for the TOs as well because let's say some other TO is well versed in the platform and they have a setting that they apply to a season or stage. You coming in new as a TO can see the information like, oh, okay, I have the option of doing this going forward to other seasons and other matches that we create, which then makes it easier to streamline an event.
Well, and I think in general too, and like I think like LeagueSpot is being used more and more, not necessarily for these long seasons, but for things like we've got clients that are running these kind of series of tournaments where you get involved with the tournament, and if you win, you go on to the next stage, and there's actual prizing involved, and there's very kind of significant things that you could win. And because of that, being able to see the evolution of, hey, we've got a group stage, right? We've got a play in, we've got a playoff. What exactly are these going to look like? What are do I know that I'm getting into a thing of best of fives, for a playoff, and how can I prepare for that? You could just see all that. And I think it makes people a lot more comfortable when they're getting involved in events with money involved and with stakes to just have all the information.
Yeah, there are some real competitive teams out there that take it serious when they're in tournaments. They take their research of their players, they take the research of how the competition is going to be played so that they can practice and scrim based on that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. So this one, and this is a great feature that Brandon put together, and we're gonna push it over to him. Brandon actually brought up this feature in a Slack DM between the two of us. He said, "Hey, I've got a surprise for you, something I've been working on." For those of you, so I was sitting at the NACE conference for NACE Star League, the big collegiate esports league, and I was basically we were announcing the partnership between NACE and LeagueSpot, and specifically we got up in front of a bunch of directors and asked them, what do you want to see within LeagueSpot within the next few years? Right? We've signed this deal. LeagueSpot's going to be the partner. What do you want to see? What would be valuable to them? And literally like 5 people of the 70, 80, however many were in the audience there, all raised their hands and said, I am begging you for a way for me to be able to get my entire schedule across all my teams as a director in some kind of calendar. I have no idea what's all coming up, right? There's just no singular view for me to see a full schedule of everything. On to that. Brandon has solved that problem. I'm going to send it over to you, to tell the people what you did.
Yeah, we figured it out. It turned out not to be as rocket sciencey as we expected it to be, which is good. We got it out there. No, I had heard about this a long time ago, and in my mind, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a big one. And I was kind of between a couple things and decided, well, we'd heard about it from enough of our clients over time that it's time to give it a shot, and let's see what we can do here. Effectively, what this is an ability to subscribe to an internet calendar from whichever calendar app that you're already using, whether that's Outlook, whether that's Google Workspace or Gmail, whether that's Yahoo, Apple Calendar if you're on a Mac. It doesn't really matter. That's kind of the key. There's a well-known format that we followed that any calendar client that happens to support the feature of subscribing to internet calendars can basically import all matches that have been scheduled and all matches. This was a little key feature that came out of one of our internal ops folks. He mentioned this to me. It's future matches that will be scheduled. So, for example, if you're in a Swiss bracket, you are going to play next week. You don't know who you're playing against, but you know you're going to play at a certain time because the round that you're in is already scheduled out. You don't have a match at this point. So we handle that as well, actually. So it actually helps you look into the future in those cases as well. But any matches that you have scheduled or will have scheduled within any of your competitions, this works for teams and it works for organizations / schools. So in the case that you're a school manager or a director and you want to view every single match that's coming up for your entire school, it supports that at that level too. I will say it goes back in time a little bit. So as your calendar client continues to synchronize over time, we're actually putting the match results in the historic matches there as well. And should anything be rescheduled, it takes a little bit of time. That's not something we control. That's actually something that is specific to the calendar client you're using. But when things get rescheduled within a couple hours, you should see that updated on your client as well. So it is something that it'll keep it up to date when things change. You'll see the results in the past. It should keep you apprised of basically everything that you need to know from a competition scheduling perspective.
The only thing that's sad about that is that if I get absolutely smacked in a best of 5, being reminded about it the week after when I look at my calendar, that is going to be a little bit tough. But no, beyond that it's a fantastic feature because I think that it would be amazing to go and put together this really awesome calendar view on LeagueSpot. I think the reality is that when you are a director of a school and you run your entire calendar via whether it's Google Calendar, whether it's via Outlook or whatever you're using, like the ability for me to just integrate that in and have it all in one place, and we're kind of meeting people where they are. I think it's just important, right? I think it's a really, really nice way to go about it, and turns out the feature works pretty well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Derek, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just want to reiterate that for the calendar feature, make sure you're out there using it so that we can go to the next phase of that on what that improvement looks like. The more you bang on the features that we create, the better we can make them.
Yeah,
Totally
use this, and especially if you are one of our clients and you're a league host, go and show people, all of the people who are in your league, make sure they're aware of this, right? Like we have been on this massive, massive, massive journey to prevent forfeits. We created Auto Matcher, right? We've done all this stuff around Discord notifications and email notifications. Like Brandon would literally tell you that the amount of time we have spent trying to solve the problem of forfeits with people has been absolutely insane. It's been a driving force beyond anything. And this is just one more thing, right? Like put it in your calendar, put it on your iCalendar on your phone so that it just pops up whenever you've got a match. Like make sure people are using this, because I think not only is it going to be good for them, it's going to be really, really good for the health of your program and your league, that people are now just that much more aware of what's going on. And not only are they being hit via emails and Discord, but they actually have it within their calendar that they choose to use everything that's coming up. So I'm a really, really big fan of this.
I also want to reiterate from a collegiate standpoint, one of the primary benefits about esports and competitive is that we're teaching additional skills. And so calendars and scheduling and how to add your phone into planning out your day is an essential skill. Like we know as professionals that we lean on our calendars a lot. So the sooner that we get these young competitive individuals learning that or having that mindset, the better they are in the workforce going forward.
I can tell you, when I was in college, I did not run my day via a calendar, and I think a lot of things would have gone a lot better if I had. So that's a fantastic point, Eric. It's awesome. Let's move on to a fun one that we just plugged in, and it's a small one and it's a silly one, but it's one of those things with LeagueSpot. Like we're always cleaning up past things. Some things within LeagueSpot, especially from the administrative experience, they're just that way because that's just how they were, and it worked, and we didn't have to pretty them up or make them better because it just worked for what it was. And this was one of them where whenever we basically had this assumption that from the beginning of LeagueSpot, that anyone who is like a big time TO, a host of an event or a league, they were only going to want to add a certain number of games to their instance so that people wouldn't be going and making teams for League of Legends when League of Legends wasn't being played. And they weren't making Rocket League teams. And like you basically have this control over the user experience where when people register, they can only go and plug into this, little group of games that you're actually offering. It's just a nice little user experience thing. And we basically assume that like once someone added a game to a league and basically said, hey, we officially support it, it was actually going to cause a bunch of problems if they removed it, because like teams were going to go away. And, there was a bunch of stuff that was technical jibber jabber by the end of that. But I think that was one of those things that we kind of went after and said, why shouldn't they be able to have control to like remove that after the fact? Stop letting people make teams for games that you're not going to be supporting moving forward. And we did that. So Brandon, anything you want to add on? This is a fun one because a lot of people watching are going to say like, why didn't you have this in the first place? But of course, Brandon will always tell you on the technical side, it's never as easy as you think it is.
Yeah. There was a really smart person that Andrew and I both know who once told me, you're not Twitter, so don't plan for it. Right. This is a funny, obviously this isn't a Twitter scale yet. We're getting there and we're on the journey, but I do think this is a great problem to have, because you only have this problem when when your company is around for a number of years. I think we've prioritized a lot of things based on the today and in the near to mid future. And it's funny. We've been working with some clients who's been around for 3-4 years now with us. And so once you hit that point, I mean, all of a sudden it's important to think through, how are we archiving some old stuff? If you played Madden 19 a couple of years ago and it's still sticking around the platform, it's kind of a problem, right? No one's, they haven't played that in years. So it's a great problem to have. I'm glad we cleaned it up. I think we we did a pretty good job meeting in the middle. We didn't destroy any history, by the way, by removing access to these titles. Basically, what it does is if you're going to go create a new season, it doesn't show up in the list. I will say there's some profile features that are driven off of it too. So, for example, you can indicate that you're interested in playing a subset of the titles that the league is putting on, and so that starts to grow over time. You can put in your rankings for those titles. Again, might not make sense to put in rankings for games that we played 3 years ago that we have no interest in pursuing anymore. So it's a general cleanup thing. I think it makes sense, but yeah, again, I'm just happy that we've gotten to the point where we're sitting here 4 years later and we're talking about all the things we need to clean up because we created so much data.
Well, right. It's funny when like a problem comes up that you have to solve where like a client's like, dude, we have to come to you for so many of these things. Can you please just give us a button where we can do it ourselves? And it's like, okay, when you've hit a scale where that stuff starts happening, it does feel good, but you do have to go and do it quickly. So that's kind of how this stuff has happened. So that's it from features. We're going to transition a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about UX and feedback in general, and then we're going to get into a little bit of the future of the stuff that we're building. Brandon has some really, really cool stuff to share. So first, Derek, I'm going to kick it over to you. Talk about your UX, some of the philosophy, and then talk about feedback and what would be really helpful for the team.
So, as you know, we're making plenty of enhancements to the platform from a UX UI perspective. And in order to be successful at that, we need feedback. And we are open and welcome for feedback. I know we had a couple clients that we met with earlier this week that gave some valuable feedback based on using the platform. And trust it, our team is definitely not weak when it comes to feedback. We know that everything that we're doing on an agile with an agile mindset, meaning that we're ready to iterate to keep progressing and performing. And the more feedback that we get, the better we are going to get with doing it. We want to make the platform as easy to use, not just from a host perspective or TO perspective, but also get into some of the player lifestyle things that makes it easier for them to get into the platform and enjoy it as well. Currently, we know that some players are just, hey, I just want to play the game, and they don't worry about any part of that the platform because they have coaches or managers that take care of that. So we improve the quality of life for managers and coaches as well. And listen, we are going to be the best platform out there. Like the team that you have, from Anthony to Zeno to Matt, like it's a superstar team over here. And like I'm so excited on the changes that we're going to be able to make that we are going to be a platform that's going to be copied by the industry and considered the standard because not only from a UX perspective or from the feature functionality perspective, but again, like Brandon says, we're collecting so much data on the players and users on the platform that we're able to actually show who is good at what game, what TOs are able to, I don't know, be the best TOs because they have more experience in producing tournaments than someone else. Like all of that data, again, enhances the industry. And that enhancement to the industry helps create that pipeline from high school to collegiate to pro. Even if you don't get into esports, just the things that you're learning from participating in competition, I always reiterate that is going to be valuable. And the only way that you're going to be able to show that value that you gained is off of a platform like us that is capturing the data and able to show it back to you to know what areas you're doing well in. And for someone to fact check it, where you can't say that you're awesome at this and you have no resume on showing that. LeagueSpot will be the resume on doing that.
That's actually the perfect transition point too. Mm-hmm. Both from the automation perspective, from the data perspective, we are in the process of building a lot of things around user personalization, things that people are going to find really fun. And by the end of this, I think our goal as a company is we want LeagueSpot in your profile to look like your digital resume through gaming, through middle school, through high school, through college, through everything that you want to do after that. Your digital gaming resume will exist on LeagueSpot. All of the cool things you've done, the plays you've made, the places you've played, that's all going to be there. And Brandon, I'm going to kick it over to you because I think you have some really, really, really cool things to share about the future of what we're building right now and some of the fun stuff. Brandon has been on this this journey to automate all of the different games. We've already done League of Legends. We've already done Fortnite. We've done a lot of stuff around Hearthstone, on and on and on. Apex Legends with their private servers, we're now doing automation for. Brandon, I'm going to kick it to you. Tell these people all the cool stuff you're building.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is true. The automation kick is real. As Derek says, we want to make this thing easy to use, and that's for TOs, but also engaging, right, for the common player. This is somewhere where we want you to trust us with your data, so that we can become the canonical profile from like your canonical gaming profile that you show people, right? This is how you show off. And we do that by collecting a lot of statistics about you. And when I say collecting statistics, let me be specific. So as Andrew mentioned, we already do this for League of Legends. That is a fully automated title on our part. We generate tournament codes all the way through automated match reporting from their side. League of Legends does happen to be the most mature API. We are finding ways to do things a little differently for a few other titles where we can still get the quality of statistics that we get for League of Legends, where we're able to place statistics on those individual games. We're doing the same thing. Right now, we're working on Valorant, which is our largest title. I think it's the largest title of many of our customers as well. It's a very quickly growing game, as most of you probably know, or maybe you didn't, but it is. So there's that point for you to take home today. But so Valorant right now, we're getting into some auto scoring. So the ability to choose a match from your match history. We have access to Riot's API. So we can actually load in every single bit of information that comes from one of those Valorant matches. I mean, where eliminations are coming from, who's eliminating who, the result of every single round scores, everything you could basically think of from that perspective. So we're going in that direction to be able to accumulate that information. What that ends up turning into is that over time we can aggregate that data for every one of our players who's linked their accounts with, for example, their Riot ID. What that allows us to do is on your profile, we can accumulate for Valorant, which agents do you play the most? When you do, what do the outcomes tend to be? What's your cumulative KDA for each of the agents? We can do the same thing for League of Legends with champions. Right now, once we're done with Valorant, chess is the next one. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that's what's going next. And so we can start to accumulate information about your chess history. We can start putting data on match details about final board position and all the matches you made during every one of your matches. So you can do a little more scouting, for example, and things like that. So from a total automation perspective, again, it's about making it easier to score. And it's about making it possible for every player to accumulate their data over time to make LeagueSpot feel like they're home for their gaming needs. So I say that about automation. Moving on from there, one thing we're like really close to getting done here, actually, it's in the final throes of development, is live event seating. We mentioned it last time. This is something we're tightening up a little bit. This is where I'm sitting in some sort of a facility, whether it's a LAN center, I'm at a school, we're doing some sort of live event. And there's a bunch of stations configured in however you choose to configure it. We're giving you the control to, when you're creating these brackets while people are competing, we can actually assign them to these stations that you actually set up within the platform. So within your school, within your computer lab, or across multiple computer labs, however you do it, you can configure the way that your stations work. And then you can assign every single team within matches to one of those. So they know exactly where they've got to be. They know exactly when they've got to be there. And it really, from an automation perspective, I mean, how else are you going to do this on paper? Are you going to do it by putting a screen up at some of these stations? I mean, there's ways, but talk about an effort saver. Where I'm looking in the future. I'm thinking, once we get to mobile app level, which is again where we're going with this. Imagine getting a push notification that, hey, you're at station B. The match that preceded you, it just completed, starting at 3:42 p.m. You got to sit down. You got to go. That's your next match coming up, and you know exactly where to be and when. And in terms of forfeits aren't as much a problem in the live space, but But again, you're herding cats at some point, especially at a certain scale. If we're talking like larger LAN events, I mean, what a challenge that could be. So giving you the tools to set that up, I think, is going to be really helpful.
That's awesome.
I can keep rolling. I mean, we got a couple other ones. One of the next ones coming up is automatic rank collection. So when you're linking accounts, let's say you're linking your Riot ID. Okay, well, we can actually go grab your League of Legends rank, or for Valorant, we can do the same thing, right? We have access to these APIs in the backend. Chess, we can collect your ELO automatically from chess.com if that's somewhere you've been playing. So as a part of this whole profile automation thing, we can actually automatically, at the point of connecting your account, and by the way, after every match is completed, we'll automatically go update your rank for you. So you don't have to keep doing that, especially in the chess world. Your ELO can change so frequently that it just makes sense to do it for you. Again, we don't want you to put in all this effort to do the things that kind of get in your way. We just want the system to do whatever it can to make it easy. And then another thing is, I think we've done a really good job of creating customizability for different communities, customers who create LeagueSpot leagues. Yeah, we're taking a step further. I mean, this again is its own journey. I think there's going to be a time where you're going to be able to drag and drop WYSIWYG, create entire pages for your communities. The next step for us now in that journey is allowing you to self-service and customize your own colors, and sort of I don't think we're going to end at colors. I think this is a theming exercise where we're going to give you some options, and our goal is to, I mean, one of our old slogans, catchphrases, your league, your way. I think we're a couple past that now, but it's still true. I mean, this is about you setting up your community the way you want it to look. And this is an instance where we want you to be able to make this look like you want to. We don't want you to have to reach out to a development team to come figure this out. It's your league. I mean, I want you to self-service and set it up and make it your home. So this is just something that allows the TO to set those up however they want to.
That's awesome. No, this is I gotta say, I mean, bias or not, we've built the best platform. This is the team of the people who does it. And we're pushing the bleeding edge on a lot of this stuff. And I think like we have focused a lot of time on making sure we've got a platform that actually delivers ROI for the clients that we work with, especially at the enterprise level. I think a lot of that stuff's been great. Right now, it's time for us to push. Like at some point, you can't drive that ROI if you can't get massive scale recruitment and retention. And that's why UX has been so important to us, right? You can't get people to come back and come back and come back unless it's an engaging experience. And everything that this team is talking about, Brandon and Derek here, that's the stuff that's actually getting people coming back. So it's important. It's fun stuff. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to look at. But most importantly, it actually creates ROI by getting people coming back to your program. That's why we're building it. That's why we're spending time on it. So anyway, thank you all so much for showing up and watching. This is always fun to get in front of you all and talk about, all the fun stuff we're doing at LeagueSpot. I'm Andrew. This is Brandon. This is Derek. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll be back in a few weeks with another release, as always. Thanks for tuning in.